The Great Hall of the Galactic Council stretched for nearly a mile in every direction. Its ceiling rose so high that clouds sometimes formed near the top. Thousands of alien delegates sat in floating chairs, their bodies of every shape and color. Some had scales, some had feathers, some were made of living light. They had gathered from every corner of the known galaxy for one purpose: to decide the fate of humanity. Ambassador Yuna stood alone at the center of the hall. She was a small woman, with short black hair and calm eyes. She wore the simple gray uniform of Earth's diplomatic service. Around her, the voices of 1,000 species filled the air like thunder. "Humans are dangerous," said the delegate from the Velthari Empire. He was a tall creature with blue skin and 4 arms. "They have been part of the council for only 200 years. And already, they have changed everything. They spread too fast," agreed the Morvian representative. She looked like a giant insect with golden wings. "Their population grows without control. Their ships appear in every system." Yuna listened without expression. She had heard these complaints many times before. The council had been debating the human problem for 50 years. Today, they would finally vote. The High Chancellor floated down from his platform. He was an ancient being, so old that no one remembered what species he had once been. His body was now mostly machine, with only a small organic brain floating in a tank of green liquid. "Ambassador Yuna," he said, his voice echoing through speakers built into the walls. "Do you wish to speak before the vote?" I neighed. Yuna looked up at the thousands of alien faces watching her. She could feel their fear. She could see their hatred. For 2 centuries, humanity had tried to be good members of the galactic community. They had shared their technologies. They had helped in wars. They had cured diseases that had killed billions. But none of it mattered. Humans were different, and different was dangerous. "I will speak," Yuna said. The hall fell silent. Every eye, every sensor, every telepathic mind focused on the small human woman. "You fear us," Yuna began. "I understand why. When we first left Earth, we were like children taking their first steps. You expected us to remain children forever. You expected us to be grateful for whatever scraps you gave us. You expected us to know our place." She paused and looked around the hall. "But humans do not know their place. We never have. When we lived in caves, we dreamed of cities. When we built cities, we dreamed of flying. When we learned to fly, we dreamed of stars. You gave us a small corner of the galaxy and told us to be happy. But we dreamed of more." The Velthari delegate stood up. "This is exactly why you are dangerous. You have no limits, no boundaries. You take and take and take. We give more than we take," Yuna replied calmly. "Your medical technology improved by 300 years because of human doctors. Your ships travel twice as fast because of human engineers. Your crops grow in places they never grew before because of human farmers. And for every gift, you ask for something in return," the Morvian said. Yuna smiled. It was not a happy smile. "Yes. We ask to be treated as equals. That is too high a price for you." The High Chancellor raised one mechanical arm. "Enough. The debate is over. We will now vote on Resolution 7749, the permanent exile of Earth and all human territories from the Galactic Council." Yuna watched as the votes came in. One by one, the lights on the great board turned red. Red meant yes. Red meant exile. A few turned green, species who had been helped by humans and remembered, but most turned red. When the final count appeared, Yuna was not surprised. 93% had voted for exile. Earth would be removed from all star maps. All trade routes to human space would be closed. Any ship traveling to or from Earth would be destroyed. Humanity would be cut off from the galaxy forever. "The resolution passes," the High Chancellor announced. "Ambassador Yuna, you have 30 standard days to withdraw all human citizens from Council space. After that time, any human found outside the exile zone will be arrested or killed." Yuna nodded slowly. She reached into her pocket and pulled out a small device. It was a communicator, connected directly to Earth. "Fleet Commander Tae-ho," she said into the device. "The vote is complete," a man's voice answered. "Understood, Ambassador. What are your orders?" Every delegate in the hall leaned forward to listen. They expected tears. They expected begging. They expected humans to finally understand how small they really were. Yuna looked up at the council one last time. Then she spoke 3 words that would echo through history. "Begin the withdrawal." She turned and walked toward the exit. Her footsteps were the only sound in the great hall. "Wait," the High Chancellor called. "Is that all? You have nothing more to say?" Yuna stopped but did not turn around. "What would you like me to say?" "You have made your decision. Now we will make ours." "You accept exile so easily?" Now Yuna turned. Her calm eyes had changed. There was something in them that made even the oldest council members feel cold. "You think this is a punishment?" she said. "You think you are teaching us a lesson. You think that without the council, humanity will wither and die." She shook her head slowly. "You have made a terrible mistake. You had the chance to grow with us, to build something great together. Instead, you chose fear." "What will you do?" the Velthari delegate demanded. "Where will you go?" Yuna smiled again. This time, it was a real smile, the smile of someone who knew a secret. "Everywhere," she said. "We will go everywhere. The galaxy is large, but it is not the only place to explore. You gave us a small box and told us to stay inside, but humans have never been good at staying in boxes." She walked to the door and paused one more time. "Goodbye, Council. I hope you remember this day. I hope you remember that you had a choice. Because we will remember. We will remember for a very, very long time." The door closed behind her. For a long moment, no one in the great hall spoke. Then, slowly, the delegates began to celebrate. They had done it. They had removed the human threat. The galaxy was safe, but deep in their hearts, some of them wondered. They had seen something in Yuna's eyes. Something that did not look like defeat. Something that looked almost like excitement. On Earth, Fleet Commander Tae-ho received the order and smiled. He picked up his communicator and sent a message to every human ship, station, and colony in the galaxy. "This is Fleet Commander Tae-ho. The Council has chosen exile. Operation Silent Star begins now. All units, begin Phase 1. It's time to show the galaxy what humans can do when we stop pretending to be small." Across 1,000 worlds, human crews received the message, and they smiled too. The Council thought they had won. They had no idea that the real story was just beginning. The withdrawal began quietly. No announcements, no protests, no crying or begging. Human ships simply started moving. They gathered their people, packed their belongings, and left. Fleet Commander Tae-ho stood on the bridge of the carrier ship Dawn of Earth. Through the windows, he could see hundreds of other human vessels forming into groups. Cargo ships, colony transports, medical frigates, research stations that had been taken apart and loaded onto massive haulers. "Sir," said his second officer, a young woman named Su-min. "All personnel have been evacuated from Station Omega. That's the last one in this sector." Tae-ho nodded. "Good. Set course for the rendezvous point. And activate the erasure protocols." Su-min hesitated. "All of them, sir?" "All of them." She pressed a series of buttons on her console. Across the sector, human technology began to destroy itself. Computer systems wiped their own memories. Power plants shut down permanently. Factories collapsed into dust. Everything that humans had built over 200 years disappeared in a matter of hours. The Council had given them 30 days. Humans completed the withdrawal in 15. On the planet Veltharis Prime, the blue-skinned delegate who had spoken against humanity watched from his balcony. Human cargo ships filled the sky, moving in perfect formation toward the edge of the system. "Good riddance," he said to his assistant. "Finally, They are gone. His assistant, a younger Velthari with nervous eyes, looked at a datapad. Sir, there is a problem. The medical facility that humans built in our southern continent, it has stopped working. The delegate waved his hand. So? Our doctors can run it now. No, sir, they cannot. The humans took everything. Not just the equipment, the knowledge, the procedures, the medicines. It is all gone, and the building itself collapsed 2 hours ago. The delegate felt a small flutter of worry in his stomach. That is unfortunate. But we survived for millions of years before humans. We will survive without them. Similar scenes played out across the galaxy. On the Morvian homeworld, the golden-winged leaders discovered that their food production systems were failing. Humans had helped them redesign their farms to grow 3 times more food. Now, without human engineers to maintain the systems, crops began to die. On a dozen other worlds, hospitals closed, ships stopped flying, communication networks went dark. Humans had woven themselves into the fabric of galactic civilization so deeply that no one had noticed, until now. Fleet Commander Tejo received reports from every sector. The withdrawal was complete. 12 billion humans had been gathered from Council space. Not a single person was left behind. Sir, Suman said. The Council is sending messages. They want to know why we destroyed everything. Tejo laughed softly. Tell them nothing. Silence is our answer now. The fleet gathered at the edge of known space. Thousands of ships carrying the entire human population from the galaxy. It was the largest movement of people in history. And it was only the beginning. Ambassador Yuna arrived on the dawn of Earth 3 days later. She looked tired but satisfied. The Council is already complaining, she told Tejo. They expected us to leave our technology behind. They expected to simply take over everything we built. They expected us to be grateful for exile, Tejo said. They expected us to crawl away and die. Yuna smiled. They have much to learn about humans. On the bridge, young officer G1 approached with a datapad. Commander, the final phase is ready. All navigational data has been prepared for erasure. Tejo looked at Yuna. She nodded. Do it, Tejo ordered. G1 pressed a single button. Across the galaxy, every star map that showed the location of Earth changed. Coordinates were altered. Jump routes were erased. Beacon signals were scrambled. In the span of 10 minutes, humanity erased itself from the galaxy's memory. It's done, G1 announced. No one will be able to find Earth, or any of our colony worlds. We are ghosts. Tejo turned to face his crew. These were good people. Strong people. They had left behind everything they had built, because the galaxy had rejected them. Now they faced an uncertain future. I know this is difficult, he said. We spent 200 years trying to be part of something bigger. We helped anyone who asked. We shared our best ideas. We treated the Council species as friends and partners. He paused. And they threw us away because they were afraid. The crew listened in silence. But we are not defeated, Tejo continued. We are not broken. We are humans. And humans do not give up. Today, we begin a new chapter. We will find new stars. We will build new worlds. We will create wonders that the Council cannot even imagine. And maybe, someday, they will understand what they lost. A cheer rose from the crew. It started small, but grew until it filled the entire ship. On every vessel in the fleet, similar scenes occurred. Humans were scared. Humans were angry. But humans were also excited. They were free. The fleet entered the jump point and vanished. Behind them, the galaxy continued to celebrate their departure. Parties were held on Council worlds. Speeches were made about safety and peace. The threat was gone. Everything would return to normal. But normal did not return. 6 months after the exile, the first plague appeared. It was a simple disease. One that human doctors had cured decades ago. But without human medicine, it spread across 3 systems and killed 2 million beings. 1 year after the exile, the Morvian food crisis became a famine. 20 billion Morvians died of hunger. The beautiful golden-winged species that had voted so eagerly for exile watched their children starve. 2 years after the exile, the Velthari Empire discovered that their jump drives were failing. Human engineers had improved the drives to make them safer and more efficient. Without maintenance, the improvements broke down. Ships began exploding in transit. Travel between stars became dangerous. Then impossible. The High Chancellor called emergency meetings. Experts were brought in. Solutions were proposed. But every solution required knowledge that only humans possessed. And humans were gone. "We must find them," the Chancellor declared. "We must bring them back." Scouts were sent to Earth's last known location. They found nothing. The solar system was empty. No planets. No stations. No signals. It was as if Earth had never existed. More scouts were sent. They searched for human colonies. They searched for human ships. They found nothing but empty space and silence. "Where did they go?" the Velthari delegate demanded. "They cannot simply disappear." But they had. 12 billion humans had vanished into the void, taking all their knowledge and technology with them. The galaxy that had rejected them was now dying without them. Ambassador Yuna had been right. The Council had made a terrible mistake. And now, they would pay for it. On a distant planet, far beyond the edge of known space, Fleet Commander Teho watched the sunset with his crew. The sky was filled with 3 moons and countless stars. This was their new home, the first of many. "Reports from the survey teams," Suman announced. "They have found 7 more habitable systems within 2 months' travel. Resources are plentiful. We can begin expansion immediately." Teho nodded. "And the Council? Any sign they have found us?" "None, sir. We are completely invisible to them." Teho looked up at the strange stars of this new sky. Somewhere out there, the galaxy was falling apart. Species that had rejected humanity were now suffering because of that choice. Part of him felt sad. Part of him felt satisfied. "Let them learn," he said quietly. "Let them understand what exile really means. We offered friendship. We offered partnership. They chose fear instead." He turned to his crew. "We will not make the same mistake. We will build something better. Something that will last for 10,000 years." The humans began to work. They built cities. They planted crops. They raised children. They explored new stars and discovered new wonders. And the galaxy continued to die, slowly, without them. 50 years passed. The galaxy that had once been bright with trade and travel grew dark and quiet. Elder Krath of the Velthari Empire stood before what remained of the Galactic Council. The great hall that had once held thousands now held only a few hundred. Many species had gone extinct. Others had withdrawn to their home systems, too weak to travel. The Golden Age was over. "We have searched every corner of known space," Krath reported. His blue skin had faded with age, and 2 of his 4 arms no longer worked properly. "There is no trace of humanity. They are gone." The new High Chancellor, a being made entirely of crystal, made a sound like breaking glass. "Gone where?" 12 billion beings do not simply vanish. They do if they want to," Krath replied. "Humans were always better at hiding than we realized. They erased everything. Every map. Every record. Every signal. It is as if they never existed." In the seats, the remaining delegates murmured among themselves. The Morvian species was nearly extinct. Now only a few thousand remained from billions. The insect-like beings who had once filled the council with their golden wings were now represented by a single elderly female who could barely fly. "We are dying," the Crystal Chancellor said. "Without human technology, our civilization is collapsing. We must find them. We have tried," Krath said. "For 50 years, we have tried. Our best scouts, our fastest ships, our most advanced sensors. Nothing works. Humanity does not want to be found." A young delegate from a minor species raised her hand. She was small, with green scales and large eyes. Her name was Vera, and her people had been neutral during the exile vote. "Perhaps," she said carefully, We should ask why they do not want to be found. The hall fell silent. Everyone knew why, but no one wanted to say it. We betrayed them, Vera continued. They helped us for 200 years. They cured our diseases. They fed our hungry. They protected our weak. And we threw them away because we were afraid of them. They were dangerous, an old delegate said. They grew too fast. They changed too much. They grew because they wanted to help more, Vera replied. They changed because they saw problems and wanted to fix them. That is not dangerous. That is kind. She looked around the hall. And we punished them for their kindness. The Crystal Chancellor made another breaking sound. What is done is done. We cannot change the past. We can only try to survive the future. Well, but survival was becoming harder every day. Ships that once traveled between stars in hours now took months. Diseases that had been cured returned stronger than before. Food that had been plentiful became scarce. The galaxy was falling apart, and there was nothing anyone could do to stop it. In the empty spaces between stars, a small merchant ship drifted. Its captain was a Velthari named Tomas, a strange name for his species. But his grandmother had known humans, and had chosen it to honor them. He was young, born long after the exile, but he had heard the stories. Humans were not monsters, his grandmother had told him. They were strange and fast, and sometimes frightening. But they were also good. They helped anyone who needed help. They asked for nothing except to be treated fairly. Tomas had grown up believing that humanity was a legend. A story told to children about beings who were too good to be real. But now, as his ship drifted through unknown space with failing engines and a dying crew, he wished the legend was true. Captain, his navigator said weakly. She was injured. And without proper medicine, she would die soon. The engines are gone. We cannot move. Tomas looked at the star map. They had been exploring beyond the edge of known space, searching for resources. Now they were lost in a region that no council ship had ever visited. Send a distress signal, he ordered. Maybe someone will hear. Who? His engineer asked. There is no one out here. We are alone. Tomas closed his eyes. His grandmother's voice echoed in his memory. Humans helped anyone who needed help. Send it anyway, he said. Send it on every frequency. Maybe someone is listening. The signal went out into the void. For hours, there was nothing but silence. Tomas sat in his captain's chair and prepared to die. Then the sensors beeped. Captain, the navigator said, her voice filled with disbelief. There is a ship approaching. A big one. Tomas looked at the screen. The ship was unlike anything he had ever seen. It was massive, larger than any council vessel. Its design was elegant and powerful, with smooth curves and glowing lights. Who are they? He whispered. The communication system crackled. A voice spoke not in the common language of the council, but in a tongue that Tomas had only heard in old recordings. It was human speech. Unknown vessel, the voice said. This is the research ship Morning Star. We received your distress signal. Do you require assistance? Tomas's hands were shaking. This is the merchant ship Wanderer. Yes. Yes, we need help. Our engines are dead. Our navigator is injured. Please help us. There was a pause. Then the voice returned. Warmer this time. Hold position, Wanderer. We are sending a rescue team. Everything is going to be okay. Within minutes, a smaller craft launched from the giant ship. It docked with the Wanderer, and 3 beings in environmental suits entered. When they removed their helmets, Tomas saw their faces. They were human. The lead human was a woman with long black hair and kind eyes. I am Dr. Bo Young, she said. Where is your injured crew member? Tomas pointed to the navigator with a trembling hand. Bo Young moved quickly, pulling out medical equipment that Tomas did not recognize. Within moments, she was treating the wounds. This is old damage, Bo Young said. Why did you not treat it sooner? We have no medicine, Tomas admitted. The council has nothing that works anymore. Bo Young looked at him with sad eyes. The Council. Yes, we have heard about their troubles. She returned to her work. This will take some time, but your friend will live. Tomas felt tears running down his face. Thank you. Thank you so much. We thought you were all gone. Bo Young smiled gently. We left council space. But we did not disappear. We simply went somewhere new. Where? Tomas asked. Where did you go? Bo Young finished her work and stood up. That is a long story. Perhaps you should come with us. See for yourself. Whether young, Tomas looked at his crew. They were all watching with wide eyes. Humans. Real humans. Alive and helping them. Just like the old stories said. Yes, Tomas said. We will come with you. The Wanderer was taken aboard the Morning Star. Tomas and his crew were given food, medicine, and comfortable rooms. They were treated not as prisoners, but as guests. As the great ship turned and moved deeper into unknown space, Tomas stood at a window and watched the stars pass. His grandmother had been right. Humans were not monsters. They were exactly what the legends said, beings who helped anyone who needed help. The galaxy had thrown them away. And still, 50 years later, they had not forgotten how to be kind. Somewhere ahead, Tomas knew, there was a new world. A world built by humans. A world that had grown strong while the council fell apart. He wondered what the galaxy would think when they learned the truth. He wondered if it was too late for the council to be saved. And most of all, he wondered if humanity would ever forgive them. Tomas stood at the observation deck of the Morning Star and tried to understand what he was seeing. But his mind could not accept it. Before him floated a space station so large that it blocked out the stars. Ships moved around it like insects around a hive, thousands of them, tens of thousands. More ships than Tomas had seen in his entire life. And beyond the station, he could see planets. Dozens of planets. All connected by streams of light and traffic. Welcome to Gateway Hub, Dr. Bo Young said, standing beside him. This is one of our smaller outposts. Smaller? Tomas's voice cracked. This is bigger than anything the council ever built, Bo Young smiled. The council stopped growing a long time ago. They were afraid of change. We were not. The Morning Star docked at the station. Tomas and his crew were led through corridors filled with humans of all ages. Children ran past, laughing. Old people sat in gardens, reading or talking. Everyone looked healthy. Everyone looked happy. How many humans live here? Tomas asked. At this station? About 2 million. Bo Young replied. In this system? About 3 billion. Tomas stopped walking. 3 billion? But there were only 12 billion when you left council space. Bo Young laughed softly. That was 50 years ago. Humans do not stay small, remember? That is why the council feared us. She gestured for him to continue walking. Our population now is approximately 800 billion. Tomas felt dizzy. He leaned against the wall to steady himself. And that is just in this galaxy, Bo Young added. This galaxy? Tomas whispered. What do you mean, this galaxy? Bo Young led him to a large window. Outside, the view had changed. Tomas could see not just stars, but entire spirals of light, other galaxies, hanging in the void like jewels. Humans have spread to 3 galaxies now, Bo Young explained. We developed new jump technology that allows travel between them. It took 20 years to perfect. But now we can cross the space between galaxies in a matter of days. Tomas's legs gave out. He sat down hard on the floor, his mind refusing to process what he was hearing. 3 galaxies. 800 billion humans. Technology that made the council look like children playing with toys. This is impossible, he said. 50 years. You did all this in 50 years? When you are not held back by fear, you can accomplish much. Bo Young knelt beside him. The council kept us small because they were afraid of what we might become. When they exiled us, they freed us. We no longer had to pretend. We no longer had to slow down. We became what we always could have been. A young man approached them. He was tall and handsome, with short dark hair and a confident walk. Dr. Bo Young, the Admiral is ready to meet our guests. Bo Young helped Tomas to his feet. This is Engineer Hana's assistant, Jae Sung. He will take you to see someone important. Jae Sung led Tomas and his crew through the station. Everywhere they looked, they saw wonders. Medical bays where diseases were cured in minutes. Factories that built ships in hours. Schools where children learned science that the council had never dreamed of. They entered a large office with windows overlooking the station. A woman stood with her back to them, looking out at the view. Her hair was gray, but her posture was strong. Admiral, Jae Sung said, the survivors from the council vessel are here. The woman turned. Her face was lined with age, but her eyes were sharp and clear. Tomas recognized something in those eyes, a fire that had not dimmed with time. I am Admiral Hana, she said. 60 years ago, I was a young engineer on Earth. I watched the council vote to exile us. I watched Ambassador Yuna walk out of their great hall. She smiled, and I watched us build an empire that they could never have imagined. Tomas bowed deeply. Admiral, I do not know what to say. We thought you were extinct. The council has searched for 50 years. We know, Hana said. We have been watching. Watching? You have been watching us suffer? Hana's expression did not change. We have been watching you live with the consequences of your choice. The council voted for exile. They voted to cut us off forever. They celebrated when we left. She walked to her desk and sat down. Why should we help those who threw us away? Tomas felt anger rising in his chest. Because people are dying. Billions of beings have died because of the exile. Children. Innocent people who had nothing to do with the vote. I know, Hana said quietly. And it breaks my heart. But I am not the one who makes decisions anymore. She pressed a button on her desk. The council made their choice. Now humanity will make ours. The door opened, and more people entered. Tomas recognized the uniform of high commanders. These were the leaders of humanity, gathered to discuss the fate of the galaxy. A man with white hair and a scarred face stepped forward. I am Fleet Commander Dong-Won. I have led our expansion into the third galaxy. I have seen things that would make the council weep with envy. He looked at Tomas with hard eyes. And I remember what it felt like to be called dangerous, to be called a threat, to be exiled, because we dared to dream. Please, Tomas said. I know what the council did was wrong. I know you have every reason to hate us. But you are the only ones who can help. The galaxy is dying. Without you, everyone will perish. Dong-Won exchanged glances with the other commanders. The council has sent messengers before. They have begged. They have demanded. They have threatened. He shook his head. But they have never apologized. They have never admitted that they were wrong. Tomas fell to his knees. Then I will apologize. For myself. For my grandmother, who spoke kindly of humans even when it was forbidden. For everyone who knew the truth but was too afraid to speak. Tears streamed down his face. I am sorry. We were wrong. Please. Please help us. The room was silent. The human commanders looked at each other. Their faces unreadable. Admiral Hana stood and walked to Tomas. She knelt down and lifted his chin with gentle fingers. Your grandmother spoke kindly of us? Yes, Tomas said. She said you were good. She said you helped anyone who needed help. She was right. Hana smiled. It was a sad smile, filled with memories of a time long past. Some of us remember what kindness feels like. Some of us remember why we helped the council in the first place. She stood and turned to the commanders. I think we should hear what the council has to say. Not for their sake. For ours. Dongwon frowned. You want to go back? After everything they did? I want to remember who we are, Hana said. The council threw us away because they feared we were monsters. If we let them die without trying to help, we prove them right. She looked at Tomas. We are not monsters. We never were. The commanders debated for hours. Tomas and his crew waited, hoping, praying. Finally, Dongwon approached them. We have made a decision, he said. A delegation will travel to council space. We will listen to what they have to say. But I make no promises. He leaned close to Tomas. If they have not learned, if they still see us as threats instead of friends, we will leave them to their fate. Tomas nodded. I understand. Thank you. Thank you for giving us a chance. Dongwon turned away. Do not thank me yet. The council chose exile for Earth. They may learn that some choices cannot be undone. The great hall of the Galactic Council had fallen into ruin. Half the lights were broken. The floating chairs no longer worked. So delegates sat on the floor or on old crates. The ceiling that once touched the clouds now had holes where storms leaked through. But today, the hall was filled with every surviving member of the council. News had spread across dying worlds. Humans were coming back. After 50 years of silence, humanity would speak again. Elder Krath sat in his broken chair and watched the doors. His forearms trembled with age and fear. He had been a young delegate when the exile vote happened. He had voted yes. He had celebrated with the others. Now he waited to see what his choice had cost. The doors opened. A single ship had arrived, a small vessel compared to what Tomas had described. But when the human delegation entered, every being in the hall felt their power. These were not the humble humans who had once begged for acceptance. These were conquerors. Fleet Commander Dongwon walked at the front. His white hair was cut short, and his scarred face showed no emotion. Behind him came Admiral Hana, Dr. Bo Young, and 50 other humans in crisp uniforms. Tomas walked beside them. The council had allowed him to serve as a guide, to help bridge the gap between old enemies. He hoped it would be enough. The Crystal Chancellor rose from a damaged platform. Humans of Earth, we welcome you back to the Galactic Council. Dongwon stopped in the center of the hall. He looked around slowly, taking in the ruin and decay. This is what became of your great civilization? The Chancellor made a sound like cracking ice. We have suffered greatly since your departure. Diseases, famines, wars. Many species have gone extinct. We know, Dongwon said. We have watched. A murmur ran through the delegates. Dongwon waited for silence before continuing. For 50 years, you have searched for us. You sent scouts. You sent ambassadors. You sent threats. He smiled coldly. You found nothing. We let you search, let you hope, let you despair, because we wanted you to understand. Understand what? Elder Krath asked. Dongwon turned to face him. That you needed us far more than we needed you. You called us dangerous. You called us a threat. You voted to erase us from the galaxy. He spread his arms wide. And look what happened. Your civilization collapsed. Your people died. Your great council sits in ruins. All because you feared humans too much to keep us. The hall was silent. No one could argue with the truth. Admiral Hana stepped forward. Her voice was softer than Dongwon's, but no less powerful. I remember the day of the exile vote. I was young then. Full of hope, I believed that if we just worked hard enough, shared enough, helped enough, the council would accept us. She shook her head. I was naive. We made a mistake, the Chancellor said. We see that now. We should never have. You did not make a mistake, Hana interrupted. You made a choice. A deliberate choice to throw away the only species that had ever truly helped you. Not because we hurt you. Not because we betrayed you. Because you were afraid of what we might become. She walked closer to the Chancellor's platform. And you know what is funny? You were right to be afraid. Look at us now. 800 billion humans spread across 3 galaxies, technology that makes your greatest achievements look like toys. We became everything you feared. She paused. But we did not become monsters. We became explorers, builders, healers. We became the best version of ourselves because you forced us to stop hiding. Elder Krath rose from his chair. Please, he said. We were wrong. All of us who voted for exile were wrong. I admit it freely. The council admits it. He fell to his knees. We beg you. Help us. Save what remains of our civilization. Dongwon looked at the old Velthari without pity. You beg now. 50 years ago, you laughed when we left. You celebrated in these very halls. You told each other that the galaxy was finally safe. He leaned down to meet Krath's eyes. How does safety feel now? Please, Krath whispered. Our children are dying. Entire species are gone forever. Is that not punishment enough? Dongwon straightened. He turned to Hana and the other commanders. They had discussed this moment for weeks. They had argued about what humanity should do. Now, it was time to decide. The council chose exile for Earth, Dongwon said loudly, so everyone could hear. You wanted us gone from your maps, your trade routes, your lives. You wanted to pretend we never existed. He paused, letting the words sink in. Humans did not stick around. We left your galaxy behind. We built something new. Something better. Something that will last long after your council has turned to dust. The delegates waited, barely breathing. You want our help, Dongwon continued. You want us to save you from the consequences of your own choices. You want to go back to the way things were, with humans doing the hard work, while you reap the benefits. He shook his head slowly. That will not happen. A sound of despair rose from the delegates. Some wept. Others screamed. The Chancellor's crystal body cracked with stress. But Dongwon was not finished. We will not save you, he said. We will not return to council space. We will not pretend that exile never happened. He turned to face every corner of the hall. But we are not monsters. We never were, and we will not let innocent beings die because of choices they did not make. Hope flickered in the eyes of the delegates. We will establish relief stations at the edge of our territory, Dongwon announced. Any being who wishes to leave council space may come to us. We will provide food, medicine, and shelter. We will help those who want to be helped. He looked at Elder Krath. But we will not rebuild your civilization for you. We will not fix the systems you broke. We will not undo 50 years of decay. His voice softened slightly. You must learn to survive on your own. You must earn your future, not have it given to you. The Chancellor spoke carefully. And if we cannot survive on our own, Dongwon met his gaze. Then you will learn what extinction feels like, just as many of your species have already learned. It was harsh. It was cold. But it was fair. Admiral Hana stepped forward one last time. The council chose exile. We chose freedom. You had 50 years to find us, to apologize, to change. Instead, you searched for ways to force us back. You planned to capture us, to control us. She smiled sadly. We know everything you discussed. We have been listening all along. The delegates looked at each other with shock. Their secret plans had never been secret at all. But we are offering you something you never offered us, Hana continued. A second chance. Not to return to the old ways. Those days are gone forever, but to build something new. Something based on respect instead of fear. She turned and walked toward the exit. The other humans followed. The relief stations will be operational within 1 month, Dongwon said over his shoulder. Anyone who wishes to come may come. But remember, you will be guests in our territory. You will follow our rules, and if you ever try to harm us again. He paused at the door. There will be no third chance. Power. The humans left the ruined hall. Their ship rose into the sky and vanished among the stars. In the silence that followed, The delegates of the Galactic Council looked at each other. Some were angry, some were relieved, some were ashamed. Elder Krath remained on his knees, tears running down his blue face. "We deserved worse," he whispered. "They showed us mercy we never showed them." The Crystal Chancellor stared at the empty doorway. "Perhaps," he said slowly, "that is what makes them human." Far away, aboard the returning ship, Tomas sat with the human commanders. He had watched the whole exchange with mixed emotions. "Do you think they will change?" he asked. Admiral Hanna looked out at the stars. "Some will. Some will come to our stations and build new lives. They will learn to see humans as partners instead of threats." She sighed. "Others will stay behind and blame us for their problems. They will die cursing our name. And you are at peace with that?" Hanna turned to face him. "We offered help. We offered mercy. We offered a future." She smiled. "What they do with it is their choice. Just as exile was their choice." She patted his shoulder. "We cannot save everyone, but we can give everyone a chance. That is all anyone can do." The ship jumped to light speed, carrying humanity back to their new empire. Behind them, a dying galaxy faced an uncertain future. But for the first time in 50 years, there was hope. Not the hope of rescue. Not the hope of going back to old ways. The hope of becoming something better. Something worthy of the second chance humanity had given them. The Council had chosen exile. Humans had chosen freedom. Now, at last, the galaxy would learn what that choice truly meant.